Hi, my name is Masha Mustakim. I am the CEO and co-founder of Alpha Potato LLC. So far, we have been able to release 4 hyper-casual hit games like Apple Good, Icing on the Cake, Prank Master, and Pawn Shop Master. These games have been downloaded more than 150 million times. All these games have been published with Live Studios, and we are continuing to work with them. I'm really excited to be in this hyper-casual games conference, and I'm really thankful to the organizers for giving us the opportunity to share our insights with each other and learn from them. In this session, I'll be covering the topics related to, for the people who are just starting out in this hyper-casual industry. So the topics I'm going to cover hopefully will give them some head start and help them avoid the common pitfalls. So really excited. So picking the right publishing partner is the first concern that should be covered when you're just starting as a hyper-casual game development team or company, because when you're starting, you most likely don't know how much quality you push for the earlier prototypes, what are the core metrics you should push for, and what is the situation of the market. And most of the times, publishers have the insights, and without those insights, it's very difficult to have success in hyper-casual industry. So picking the right partner is important. So for example, I would like to share our experience and what we did earlier in 2018 when we just started making hyper-casual games. So we spent 3 or 4 months in a game, and after spending 4 months, and we made a really polished game, and then we were trying to find the publishing partner, and then we tested the game, and the game had extremely high CPI, and the engagement was not good enough, the retention was not good enough. So after spending 4 months, we got to know from the publisher that the game is not aligned with the market demand, and it doesn't have the right engagement. So that is definitely a no-go. So definitely, before starting out your journey in hyper-casual industry, pick the right partner. Definitely know what are your requirements. If you need any funding, find out what are the publishers are paying per prototype basis, or if they are willing to pay for your studio. And if you need insights, what are the publishers that are willing to spend time for you guys and give you insights and continuously work with you. So if you can see that there are publishers, definitely there are publishers, but if you see that XYZ publishers are fulfilling all these requirements, definitely those publishers are right for you, and definitely pick one of them, start working with them, and definitely go from there. So once you have picked hopefully the right partner, then it is your job to make prototypes and test it on the market and all. But still, when you're just starting out, in most cases you still don't have much idea about the market, and you don't have much idea about what are the core metrics you need to achieve before publishing a game. So communicate with your publisher a lot, and you'll have a lot of assumptions which most of them are wrong, and you can understand them and you can know about them, increase your knowledge only by communicating with your publisher more. So whoever is your contact point, talk to them a lot. Whatever assumption you have about the market, whatever assumption you have, the kind of ideas might work in the market, have conversation with them as much as you can, and by communicating more, you'll have much more clarity about the market, and you'll be able to focus on specifically on the metrics and the kind of ideas that might work on the market and increase your chance in hyper-casual industry. So communicating more and knowing the metrics that you're targeting to achieve and how we can possibly achieve, having clarity on those ideas are very important. So just communicate more. Prototype fast and kill faster. This is most probably the most cliche sentence you have heard before, and yet it is the most crucial thing, and extremely hard to follow. Most of the times, either what you will make is below the standard or extremely high above the standard, and you have wasted your time. As game developers, we are always trying to add, like one more feature, a bit more polish into the game, or we are not that skilled yet to get to the point where it needs to have the quality to, have enough quality to test it on the market. So for this, as we have already hopefully picked the right partner, the publisher is definitely your go-to guy to give you the idea about how much is enough to test on the market and whether it is good enough from the control, game experience wise and the visual wise to test it on the market. So as soon as that's good enough, you must test, and then test your assumption. And if it's not up to the metrics you're targeting, whether it's CPI, the engagement, or like IPM, retention, whatever your publisher core metrics are, you should kill as soon as possible and move towards the next idea. The biggest mistake you can make, is spending months on an idea and delaying yourself to the hit game you can get by making more and more prototypes. So yeah, definitely make prototype as fast as you can, and kill them as soon as your publisher help you decide that it's not worth putting in more effort. So yes, most of the times you'll have to know your core metrics, CPI or the IPM, or in the terms of engagement, like level completion, your level funnel, your retention, day one retention and all. So yeah, as soon as those are not met, just kill it. So playing to your strength is extremely important in any field, and definitely it's important here as well. And oftentimes when the teams have more strength on certain side, like some teams are more comfortable on the art side, some teams are more comfortable on the technical side. So definitely make sure that you are utilizing your strength. For example, when you are to think about the kind of genres you're going to explore, for example, ASMR is a kind of genre where you have to be technically a bit more sound than the other genres. So if you are to make a ASMR puzzle game, to have certain visual effects which are to be implemented, and it has certain technical challenges, maybe you avoid those type of games if it's taking you more time. So for fixing what kind of genre you're going to try, definitely know your strength. Also, when you are to try out different variations of a game, oftentimes you'll have to make choices between do you make all those variations game actual game experiences, and do you code all of them, or you can make different variations of the video, or you can also make only the video of different games and test it on the market. So if you have a team which are more stronger on art side, and you have people in your team who can make different animations and videos, then probably you don't have to make the game. You just make the video. And there are many publishers who do video tests, early video tests, and those video test results can give you some insights about whether this kind of gameplay has a demand on the market or not. So yeah, if you have more strength on the technical side, definitely use that on picking genre and trying and picking the approach of making games, and that is going to be very important. So definitely know your strength and focus your strength, and whatever strength you have, the kind of technology and the kind of tools there are in the market, it should be enough to give you advantage in your strengths. So yeah. So most of the time when you're making hyper casual games, you'll have to make sure you have a good CPI, or marketability. So your marketability indicator might be CPI or IPM or something else. Definitely depends on publisher. And another metric or the another aspect you'll have to make sure is engagement, which is usually indicated by initial level 5 completion rate, or like level 10 completion rate, or day 1 retention, or day 3, day 7 retention. All these engagement or the playtime. So oftentimes you see the situations where the marketability is good but the engagement is not good enough, or engagement is good, marketability is not good enough, and in those situations you'll have to iterate to figure out the marketability, or the one another. But there will be some situations where the marketability is somewhat there, and the engagement is somewhat there, and you're confused. And in most cases, my recommendation is you just kill the game, because usually figuring out any of them is very difficult. And if you are battling on multiple fronts and trying to figure out the engagement and trying to figure out the marketability, it's going to be a very, very difficult journey, and you'll most probably end up wasting a lot of time. So make sure that you're not battling on multiple fronts, and if you are, you have strong reasons to do so. So that would be a very, very strong reason and a strong point from my side. Oftentimes I get asked by other studios, team leaders, that how do I keep our team and our people motivated while we are working with hyper casual games. One of the reason is often people might get demotivated is the kind of games we make. In many times, the kind of games, the kind of experiences we're building, oftentimes people might say that these are not games at all. And these can be frustrating, and there are people who come from hardcore gaming background and who are trying to build their career or find some success in hyper casual industry. Often will try to make the games which are not working in hyper casual industry, hyper casual market. Oftentimes we'll come up, the developers will come up with ideas and the kind of game experience that the hyper casual audience are not interested to play those games, and definitely those will be proved by the engagement and the marketability numbers. So oftentimes it's very, very difficult to motivate certain individuals to keep on making games, making certain kind of experiences, and for that I think it's very important to know your audience. And even the one individual who are playing hyper casual games, they are also your audience they might be into hardcore games, but it's not about the kind of audience or kind of individual you are targeting. It's oftentimes understanding that individual's behavior, because when we are making hyper casual games, you'll have to keep in mind that these people are trying to spend their time while commuting in a bus, or a leisure time in office, or just a couple of minutes before going to sleep. And definitely they are not looking for a very extremely focused and engaging experience, rather a very relaxing and comforting experience. And knowing that is very important. And at the end of the day, we are building an experience, and we are building an experience to serve our audience for those moments, and those are also very important. And definitely know that your game when your game can serve your audience in those moments, it definitely serves a good purpose and your games matter. So definitely let your team know that it's really important to know that, and serving your audience in the right way is really, really important, and it makes a difference. If you have a team of 3 or 4 people or more than that, and they are all working in the same game, the same team, you have faced, or definitely you will face, such a situation where you guys have different vision, different version of the similar idea, and different version or different feature, different kind of control, and you're arguing all day on what kind of control or what kind of feature should go into the game, and in most cases that's a waste of time. And from my experience of what I've seen, as most of the times the kind of things you're arguing with is basically none of them are the solutions. The solution is in completely something else. So it's best that if you can implement whatever your assumptions are and test in the market and learn from them, rather than spending hours in arguments and spending hours in logical reasonings, and then getting a result that validates that none of the assumptions were probably correct. So yeah, it's best that don't just assume. Whatever assumptions you have, it's best you try to implement that in a game, do A/B testing, and find out which one is working best in the market. So don't just assume, test. When you're just starting out in hyper casual, many of you might be tempted to make clones of previously successful games or current successful games, and might think it's the easiest way to get success in hyper casual industry. In most cases, I would say no. Cloning games would not give you much learning to your bigger success, and oftentimes, basically most of the times, you will end up getting bad results on your core metrics. One of the experience I'll share from us is we were also trying different variations of existing successful games back in early 2019. So early 2019 there was a very successful game from Voodoo, and still it's doing well actually after 2 years, Roller Splat. And the mechanics were very interesting, and we actually tried different version of that game, and definitely we proposed all these games to our publisher. And one of the things that our Chris Lefebvre, our contact point with Lion Studios, in Lion Studios, he said that whatever we're trying and whenever we're trying with these different variations of this game, we're basically making this game more difficult. And the main learning that we get from the success of Roller Splat is that people don't want to be challenged, rather people want to be satisfied. So we need to come up with the ideas where we can serve that need. And actually later we came up with I Feel Good, which it was completely based on user satisfaction, completely ASMR, where user can get just satisfying experience. So yes, so when you're studying the market, try to understand the trend, not just study the top chart games, all the games that are being tested on the market. And definitely if you have the right partner, they will be able to provide you different tools where you can see what kind of games are other developers testing, what kind of games are being released every day. Study those games, and study the top chart and study the top 100, top 300, top 500 as much as you can, to understand that what kind of experiences are probably users are looking for, and try to come up with ideas, not just clones. Clones are not going to help you, but definitely taking inspiration and understanding what kind of things users are looking for from the existing games is definitely a way to go. when you're trying to brainstorm about hyper casual game ideas and doing your brainstorming sessions, definitely make sure that you are continuously studying the social media. Oftentimes there are contents that coming up in social media and like certain trends in social media that can be turned into a game. And definitely I've seen, like, if you study the top 100, at least there are like 2 to 3 games that have been basically based on some sort of social media trend. So continuously studying the social media will definitely give you some advantage, and you should definitely. Hyper casual is an extremely competitive industry now, and there are thousands of developers who are working here. There are like 10-20 major publishers also, and all these publishers and developers, like every major publisher are testing at least more than 100 games every month. And you can understand the amount of contents are being pushed in this space. So the competition is extremely high, and what kind of content people like, finding it out is also extremely difficult. But although it's difficult, it's definitely not impossible. And so oftentimes it will be like for your 4 or 5 people team, it will be like 1 year before you have got your hit game. And when that happens, you have to be very patient and don't lose your heart, because if you keep your focus, and if you are continuously studying the market, and if you are continuously learning, eventually you will zero in to a concept that is going to work in the market. But it's going to be a very it might be a very long time before you get your first success. So definitely when you're starting out, know that you are here for the long-term effort, and it might just take like almost a year before you get, or like even 2 years before you get your first success. But usually 2 years it shouldn't take if you are getting enough support and insights from your publisher. So but at least be ready for 1 year before you get your first hit. When you are making different hyper casual prototypes, most probably, even if you are like one of the fastest developers in the world, you're probably 2 or 3 people team. You're making a prototype in 2 or 3 days. So if you have that kind of team, and you're like making 2 prototypes every week, you're only testing 8 prototypes a month, and that's it's a big number for a 3 or 4 people team. So it's just 8 prototypes every month you're testing, and that's the only kind of learning you're getting. So definitely when you are testing those games in the market and getting the result, discuss among your team, discuss with the publisher, and definitely make assumptions that why possibly these games did not do well in the market, and try to learn from them. And also that your publisher is definitely testing more than 100 games every month. So talk to them as much as you can to learn from the games they have tested as well. And also definitely your publisher have some tools that can help you see the other games being tested in the market, and definitely see those games, study those games, and try to learn from the failures that they have made. And if you're only relying on your mistakes, definitely it's pretty you're going to make the similar mistakes, like similar games that other people have made, and gone through those failures, and you're going to make the same failures again, and your learning is going to be limited. So yes, definitely make as much as prototype as you can, learn from your failures, and make sure you're learning from other people's failures as well. So this will definitely give you some advantage and help you get your success. So that's my suggestions and thoughts about for the people who are starting out in the hyper casual industry, and hopefully it will give you some head start and help you avoid the mistakes that we have made, other people have made, and some people are already still making. So I wish you best of luck for your success in hyper casual industry, and I welcome you here in the Hyper Casual Games conference.